Okay, so here we are at one of my customers who, shockingly enough, hauls a lot of cars. We got two problems to deal with today, or well, two trailers with multiple problems each. This 3-car has one of the right turn signals, and I believe there's 3 rights, 3 lefts, has an intermittent fault. Then he's also saying that the loading lights are intermittent. So we got some connections issues here. It's extremely common. These trailers get corroded, or the connections get corroded rather. They do a lot of mileage, and they see a lot of wear and tear on the road. This 10-ton 2-axle could be pretty interesting. It's got a slew of issues. First one, which is just a maintenance thing, we're going to adjust the brakes, and then that midship marker / turn signal right there apparently doesn't do the marker part anymore. It just does the turn part. So we got to open that up and take a look. He's got the 3 clearance lights on the back of it, I believe he said was out. I'm gonna have to check my notes to make sure I'm not missing anything, but those 3 clearance lights I believe are out. And the interesting part is he also says that when they use the loading lights on this, it turns on all the running lights, which is odd because it shouldn't even be close to the same circuit. So yeah, that could be interesting. We got some digging to do. So my plan of attack here is we're gonna do the 3-car first, mainly because it's got the smaller list, and I believe the 2-car is gonna get parked for a bit. He kind of rotates through the various trailers just to kind of keep them all moving if he doesn't need all of them. So this one's not as critical, but it's got to get fixed because if one of the other ones goes down, this one goes right back into service. So we'll get that 3-car taken care of and move over to this one. So we'll get the IPA tester out here, and I'll be back with you when we're hooked up. So tester hooked up. We can see by that green flashing light there, the only thing that isn't connected is the reverse lights, which is normal because this one does not have reverse lights. So flip on running lights and I'm in the sun, so it's hard to tell. That midship one's on. Right turn, yep. Move around. Both those are on. And all the lights on the back are on. Right turn's on. Left turn. And one's flashing a little bit slower because it's a incandescent, not an LED. But these guys here, one of them is intermittent. This one almost feels like the lens is loose. So we're gonna have to pull all those out and take a look. Marker light out there, so we'll take a look at that. Good. And that's working. Good, okay, so we will take that right turn out and, or take all the right turns out and see there's gotta be something loose or corroded in there. All right, so got all the taillights out. In the process, I also noticed that this marker light right on the end was out, and it would appear as someone's been in here and didn't heat shrink the heat shrinkable butt connectors. And so there's no power at this plug, so we'll cut these off and redo it, make sure that we got good ground, good power, and go from there. Tail light, I noticed on this one, if the camera will focus, it's hard with the way the sun is right now, but the sockets are kind of spread apart. It's also very dirty. When I was pulling this one out and fussing with it, on the running light side, it was kind of flickering a little bit. So I think that might be our problem, because otherwise the other two seem rock solid. So we'll get that cleaned up, pinch the wires together, check the connection there, make sure there's power, because it's just teed in over here. And then make sure once we have power here, we'll make sure that this light head actually works. Put it back together, and one complaint done. All right, so got the connection issue cleaned up with that guy. Cleaned out the sockets, pinched them back together a little bit. It's good to go. This guy here, along with the connection issue in those heat shrinkable butt connectors that weren't heat shrunk for some unknown reason. The light head was also bad, so brand new light, and that one's done. We're gonna take a look at that other marker light that I saw that was out on the other side there and move on to the loading lights. I mean, this shit kind of blows my mind. I got nothing. But the issue with this guy here is probably, it's hard to tell on camera, but that socket is totally broken and it's completely disconnected. So we're gonna double check that connection, because this is like, these are 10 gauge butt connectors on like an 18 or a 16 gauge wire that aren't even heat shrunk. I mean, so we'll check that. We'll see what condition this plugs in, if I can get it out one-handed. That's not terrible. Well, it's kind of bent around in there. So I think what we'll probably do is replace that whole connector, obviously replace that light head. All right, this light here, replace the 2-pin pigtail, replace the light head, proper butt connectors, actually heat shrunk this time, and that's good to go. So I then moved on to the loading lights. So there's one there, which is on right now, and it's this switch that's on the outside of the hydraulic and battery box. And it might be hard to tell on camera, but when I wiggle this thing around like that, we're flashing on and off. So the switch is all loose, and I don't know what is going on with this wiring, but you can see the terminals are just kind of wiggling around. The wire is actually a little bit warm. So for whatever reason, we didn't fuse power going to the switch, which is where you might normally do it. We did it after. Wow. Okay, so strobe light controller, which they're not hooked up to anything. So those aren't working. Pretty sure I recognize that from Princess Auto. Anyhow, not worried about that. Why you would have a wireless controller, I just noticed this. A wireless controller that you first have to switch on. Yeah, lost for words. Anyhow, so I'm pretty sure that this switch is bad and these connections don't look great. I mean, the like riveted connection in the switch is loose. And like I said before, the wiring is a little bit warm. So I think we're gonna throw a new switch in that and probably get rid of that strobe light controller. At least take it off of the switch, because it does not need to be there anymore. All right, so new switch. Get this switched out. I tell you, I just bought this electric screwdriver. I mean, it's not like a name brand or something. Would have liked the DeWalt one, but I wanted to see how it would work for, you know, little electrical stuff like this. 7-pin connectors and switching out switches and whatnot. So far so good. We may have to change these ends. We are going to see if I got any of the right ones in here. No, but I do have some of the right ones in here. These will work. Disconnect that from power. At some point, if somebody wants to see, I mean, the truck's a bit of a mess, but if there's interest in it, I could show you what I keep on the truck. I feel like I keep too much. Don't have enough space for other stuff, but in the same sense, I hate going somewhere and not having the right stuff. That drives me nuts. Because oftentimes, like today, it's not so bad, but I'm, you know, a half hour from home, so if I leave something at home or I don't have a tool in the truck that I need, because oftentimes you never know what you're actually going to need, then I got to go all the way back to the storage unit, back to my home garage, whatever the case is, to try and get it, and that is also annoying too. So I'll get these changed out and I'll be back with you when we're putting the switch in. Okay, butt connectors changed. Let's get this switch wired up. So it turns out that this switch is slightly bigger than the old one, so we'll just very carefully open that up ever so slightly. Perfect. Switch in, centered up, ID plate on. These guys here, I go about as hand tight as I can with a 9/16 deep socket, because I find when you try and go that extra mile with a ratchet, you end up kind of like, there's a little slot at the bottom here that's hard to see, and you end up stripping the tab off of that on-off plate, and then it's hard to get it kind of centered up, and it just looks kind of funny. So we'll leave it like that. It's back on the battery. I left the fuse the way it is. We'll see, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but I think that's just kind of covered up. So we'll get this tightened up, we'll test it, and if it works, we're gonna throw a little bit of electrical tape around here just to stop, you know, I don't know, maybe they hit a big bump and that nut jumps up and hits it or something like that, just to keep it, just to stop anything from arcing. Got loading lights. And they went off. So we've got another problem somewhere. Like, look at all this. Okay. Well, first things first, we check the fuse. Fuse is good. Okay, well, I think we're gonna get rid of some of this, because I'm not sure what's happening here. And the more connections, the worse. So I'll get that done. So I walked away and came back, and now we're on. But as I wiggle this wire, you might not be able to see it on the camera, but it's definitely kind of dimming around a bit. So I think we're just going to replace these connections while we're in here. I apologize for the waiting music. I'm on hold with GM parts, but we got that connection fixed up. There was definitely an issue in there, but now there's definitely also an issue here where it tees together. So we're gonna replace this one as well. Okay, here we are on the other side. So we got one light, two light, hard to see back there, three light working, 4, 5, and then the 6th one up at the front I can see is on from here, and then there's 7, 8 in the back. We're all working. So that's it. This one's done. We'll get it all cleaned up and move on to that 2-car. Okay, so here's the 2-axle, and this is something I've never witnessed before, but this is the loading light switch. So we flip that on, and there's no loading lights on, but there's definitely running lights on. And this is something I've never witnessed before. So let's open up that box and figure out what's going on there. Okay, so I tried calling the customer, but I believe he's racing today, so he's not answering the phone. But I followed the wiring from the loading lights, which are kind of all hidden, and this is what feeds the loading lights. loading light switch. That's power coming to the loading light switch. They've deliberately, or maybe not they, somebody has deliberately wired this into the running lights. You know, this is the owner that's telling me these complaints. This was something he noticed, and maybe the loading lights aren't working and the driver did this so when they were, you know, stopped at night on the side of the road or something, they could unload and have some kind of lights on without leaving the truck running or the key on. So I'm not really sure what he wants to do with this, and I won't know till he gets a hold of me, but I can always just tell him that he's just got to disconnect that wire and hook this to the switch, and it's back to how it was. I'm not sure. Somebody knows more. And when it comes to electrical stuff like this, I mean, obviously this thing has been, you know, it's been repaired over and over and over again. Like, you can just tell by the way that everything is. I don't want to go just hooking stuff up, right? Somebody did this. I have a feeling it was the driver, and we just don't have all the information. So we're going to wait to get all the information before we start doing that, in case there was a reason for it that we just don't know. So that issue we're going to bypass for now. So the rest of the list we got here, tighten brakes, we'll do that last because that's got to lift it up. And it'll be more fun because there's a car on it, of course. So we'll do that. And the marker lights flicker when the turn signal on. Right turn signal, or sorry, right midship has turn signal, no running lights. So let's deal with that center marker lights out and the flicker in that, or not the flicker, sorry, the no running light, and go from there. Side note, what a fantastic intro to that song. So we'll come over here, figure out where they've hid the 7-pin, which is covered in fifth wheel grease by the looks of it. That will make your hand black forever. Stuff's worse than anti-seize, I tell you. Get that plugged in. See what we got. Okay, like the other one, it's only telling me reverse light is the only one that's got a fault, and no reverse light, so that's it. So here's that right midship, and as complained, turn signal works, running lights work everywhere else, just not there. So let's open that up and see what's going on. So oftentimes with these plugs, like this one looks pretty good. Oftentimes there are issues with the plug or the sockets in the light. In this case, because the turn signal is working, we know that the ground is good, which is just kind of grounded. It'd be tough to see, but it's just grounded inside the box there. So I always like to just check it with a test light, right? So your red on these plugs is going to be your turn signal, depending on, you know, which side you're on. It might be hard to tell. That is working. And if we go to running light, black is your running light, and look, there's running light. So we didn't waste time ripping that apart. This light is probably no good. A big hole in it, so that's a good indication. If I had to guess, because it's an incandescent, the one filament is probably blown. I can't really tell, but the one filament that does the running light's probably blown. Unfortunately, I don't have any of these amber ones, so we'll have to get one at some point, or the customer will grab one himself and just stick it in. But at least there we know, not a wiring problem, just needs a light. Okay, so now we're on the back, and this will be kind of awkward because it's kind of under the bumper of a car, but those centers are out, so I'm gonna pull all those centers out, figure out, I don't know if it's getting its signal from this side or that side. Usually it's always the left side. Typically all the wiring is ran down the left side, and then you have jumps that'll go over to the other side, or sometimes it comes to the back, wraps around, and then shoots up the other side. Just gotta, no way to know until we pull some taillights and get in there and see. Like, this is unnecessary. So in this case, I was wrong. It is feeding from the right side. I just have to untangle this. There's no way to put it, this rat's nest that's butt connectors right beside butt connectors, and figure out what the problem is. We'll check. It looks like this is power in and probably ground back, so we'll have to cut that. We'll definitely be redoing some of this, so we'll cut that, we'll test it, see if we even got power coming to here, and then if we don't, we got to move over there and see what. It's probably connected to that first tail light. We got to see what that connection looks like. All right, so there was no power over there, so I pulled the wire back through, and there's our brake right there, completely disconnected. So we are gonna run a new wire, grab some wire from the truck and get it run over. Side note, like, if anybody's worked on any of these, all these trailers are the same way, like just a jumbled mess. That said, the one silver lining thing here is it is nice when there's extra wire. In this case, I mean, the brake was too far back anyways, but I'm guilty of liking to leave some extra wire. Usually I'll coil it up a bit better. If I was redoing this setup, I would have extra wire, but I would coil it up a little bit nicer. That way, you know, if you ever have one of these butt connectors go bad, or one of these 3-pin pigtails go bad, you have extra wire to replace it, right? If you do everything the exact right length, you end up having to rerun wiring. And with these trailers, there ends up being so much rust and corrosion in there. Like, trying to push a wire back through this is a pain. I'm gonna do it right now, but you know, it's just the way it is sometimes. So we will get a new wire ran and get it fixed up. Well, that's just always the way. Got the power issue fixed, and only one works. So now we gotta dive into why the rest of these, the other two, oh, that one kind of does. So I think we're gonna likely have some connection issues, either in the lights themselves or in these pin connectors. Okay, so there we have it. All three working. Just needed some new 2-pin pigtails. Brought a new light over just in case, new light head, but nope, just needed some pigtails cleaned up. So we will get all this stuff heat shrunk and get it all back together. So I'm now down here adjusting these brakes on these 10K axles. So when the spring's like right in the way, sometimes you just have no choice. You just bend that backing plate out of the way a little bit. It's only 10. And up inside there, it'd be hard to see that star wheel there. Adjusted up. This one has been adjusted lots. It's getting close to end of life, but there is still a bit of pad left. So we're gonna give her another adjustment. This might be the last one for this, and then we'll have to look at replacing these brakes. But as a backup for now, because this one's gonna get parked, so another one can run for a bit. It'll do just fine. So I just switched around to do the backside axle here, and I couldn't see it from where I was laying at in the first position, but there should be a nut there that holds basically a big bolt that retains all the shoes. That nut is gone, and it looks like it's kind of pulled all the way back in, or it's broken off, one or the other. And actually on the back side I can see a spring here. So that backing plate is done, which means that before this thing goes back to seeing like daily service, we're gonna need to put a set of backing plates on this thing, at least on the front axle anyways. And as I'm about to crawl out from under here, This is the right one on the front side. Again, couldn't see it laying on the front of the axle. It's very tight under here when there's a car on it. That one's also missing the nut. Should look like that. That one looks like that. The other one's either apart completely or the bolt actually snapped off. It's kind of hard to tell. It's way back in there. So looks like this one needs a set of front brakes. Rear brakes got tons of shoe left on them. The adjusters are still doing the adjusting thing, and that's it. So now I'm gonna try and get out from under here and not set off the alarm on the Civic above my head. All right, well, that is it for these two. We got the 3-car haulers all fixed up, ready to hit the road. This one here that I'm sure once he unloads the cars, it's just gonna be a spare for a bit. So we'll have to let him know that that tire is quite low. And we gotta do brakes on the front of this one. And we also gotta get one of these midship ambers. I don't have one with me, so we'll, when I talk to him, we'll go from there. I think it's the last race weekend of the year, so I think he's running his Porsches around the track for a bit. So until we can get a hold of him, we'll get packed up, get out of here. I gotta get to a GM dealership in the next hour, I believe. Hour 20, get on to the next one, and we'll see what he wants to do, and maybe we'll be back next week. Okay guys, thanks for watching.